Picture this. It is 102 degrees outside.
Oh, absolutely sweltering.
Yeah, just brutal. And your air conditioning has been running all day long, just, fighting to keep your house livable.
Right, working on overdrive.
Exactly. And you step out the back door for a second, maybe to check the mail or, I don't know, let the dog out, and you look over at your AC unit.
And that's when you see it.
That's when you see it. The thick copper line going into the side of the machine is just wrapped in an inch of solid white ice.
Right there in the middle of a blazing hot afternoon.
It is wild. And, the panic sets in immediately, right? You're sweating, your mind is flashing all these warning signs, and all you can think is, my AC is dead, and this is going to cost me a fortune.
Oh, it is a terrifying visual for any homeowner. The brain just immediately flags it as a catastrophic mechanical failure.
Yeah, a complete disaster. But today, the mission for this deep dive is to stop that panic in its tracks. We are unpacking the single most common summer home emergency, which is, of course, the frozen AC coil.
Yes. A very, very misunderstood problem.
Exactly. And the goal today is to save you, the listener, from a hefty repair bill by explaining exactly why this happens and, well, better yet, how you can fix it yourself in about 10 minutes.
Right, because the reality of that ice block is rarely what people assume it is.
Yeah, and to get to the bottom of this, we are drawing on a ton of field experience data, energy guidelines, and specifically the expertise of Dave Hartzell.
A true industry veteran.
Absolutely. For context, he's based out of Kingfisher, Oklahoma, and has 45 years in the HVAC business.
Which is just an incredible amount of time to be in the field.
It really is. And his credentials really matter here. He's NATE certified, which is essentially, the gold standard for technical excellence in HVAC.
Right.
And he's IGS-HPA accredited, meaning he has a really deep, rigorous understanding of the thermodynamics of heat pumps.
Yeah, so we're looking at nearly half a century of seeing exactly what happens when systems freeze up in the dead of summer.
Okay, let's unpack this, because there's a statistic in the research that just seems completely counterintuitive.
Oh, the 90% stat.
Yes. Why is it that 90% of the time, this terrifying inch-thick block of ice has absolutely nothing to do with a broken system?
I know. It does seem backward, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But to understand why, we really have to look past the symptom outside.
The ice on the pipe.
Right. We have to understand the mechanical reality happening inside your house. We have to look at the anatomy of a freeze.
Okay, where do we start?
We start with a component called the evaporator coil, which is inside your indoor air handler.
Right, the indoor unit. I always pictured that coil functioning like, I don't know, the inside of a freezer, just sort of generating cold air out of nowhere.
Yeah, and a lot of people do think that, but an air conditioner doesn't actually make cold.
It doesn't.
No, it removes heat. That's a huge distinction. That evaporator coil is designed to run at a very specific temperature, usually right around 40 to 45 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, okay. So it's deliberately calibrated to stay safely above the freezing mark.
Exactly. Safely above 32 degrees.
So if it's sitting at 40 degrees, how does it actually cool down a house that's like 80 degrees inside?
Through continuous heat exchange. So your indoor blower motor pulls the warm air from your house and physically forces it over that 40-degree metal coil.
Okay, I'm picturing that.
And the liquid refrigerant inside the coil absorbs the heat from your air, and then the blower pushes that, freshly chilled air back through your ductwork.
Got it.
But the key here, the really important part, is that the coil actually needs the constant heat from your house to keep itself from freezing.
Oh, I see. So it's relying on that hot air. So if something interrupts that flow of warm air, or I guess if the refrigerant pressure drops too low, the temperature of that coil just plunges.
Yes, it drops right below that 40-degree safety zone and hits 32 degrees.
But wait, where does the ice itself actually come from? Because there's no water inside the machine, right?
Right, the refrigerant is sealed. The water comes from the ambient humidity in your house.
Oh, just the moisture in the air.
Exactly. When warm, humid indoor air hits a metal surface that is suddenly dropped below freezing, the moisture condenses and freezes instantly. Yeah, you get instant frost. And once that first layer of frost forms, the physics of the entire system just turn entirely against you.
Okay, so I was trying to visualize this runaway loop while looking at the notes, and I came up with an analogy. Tell me if this tracks.
Let's hear it.
It's like Putting a thick winter coat on the AC coil.
Okay, yeah.
Because you'd think the ice would make things colder for the house, but the ice actually insulates the coil from the warm air.
Right, it acts as a barrier.
Exactly. It completely prevents the heat transfer, so the coil can no longer absorb heat, which just makes the refrigerant inside get even colder, which builds more ice, adding a thicker coat, until the whole system becomes just a solid block in under an hour.
That is a great way to picture it. But let's take it a step further. What's fascinating here is the sheer paradox of the failure.
What do you mean?
Well, you see a completely iced-over system outside, and you naturally assume it's working too hard.
Right, like it's an overdrive.
Exactly. But mechanically, it means the internal components are being starved. Without that constant supply of warm air to basically boil the refrigerant into a gas, the cold has nowhere to go. It just feeds on itself.
Wow. Okay, so if a lack of heat transfer, which is essentially a lack of airflow, is what causes the freeze, what on earth is stopping that air? Because I know I'm not, like, down in my basement manually blocking my air handler.
You might not be doing it intentionally, but you would be surprised. The field data points to two main culprits that are almost entirely caused by the homeowner.
And these are the ones that make up that 90% chunk of service calls, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, let's start with cause number one.
Cause number one is a dirty filter.
A dirty filter.
It sounds almost too simple to be true, I know. But it is the culprit in 60% of all frozen coil calls.
60%, just from a filter.
So from a filter.
But wait, I buy those like really expensive high-efficiency pleated filters, because they say they trap more dust and allergens. Shouldn't those be better for the system?
Well, they are better for your indoor air quality, sure. Yeah. But they are much harder on your HVAC system.
Really? How so?
It comes down to the MRV rating, which is how they measure efficiency. A higher MRV rating means a much tighter weave of the fabric.
Oh, so less air can get through.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So people put those high-efficiency filters in, they forget about them for 6 months, and they gradually turn into just a solid wall of dust, pet hair, and debris.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And the blower motor is straining to pull air through that wall to run over the coil, but it simply can't pull enough volume.
And so the airflow slows to a crawl, the coil gets starved of heat, the temperature plummets, and that winter coat of ice starts to form.
Precisely. Which leads us directly into cause number two, which is another airflow restrictor.
Okay, what is it?
Closed or blocked supply registers.
Oh, man. Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, because this completely contradicts how most of us operate.
It really does.
You're saying that trying to be frugal, like trying to save a few bucks by closing the vents in the guest room or the basement, doesn't actually save money. It actually breaks the system.
Yes. It is one of the most pervasive and honestly destructive myths in home maintenance.
But logically, if I close a vent in a room I'm not using, doesn't that just force more cold air into the living room where I actually need it?
I mean, it seems like it should, right? But central air conditioning doesn't work like a volume knob where you can just turn down the guest room and turn up the living room.
Okay.
The entire system, the ductwork, the blower motor, the size of the coil, it's mathematically calibrated to push a very specific volume of air, which is measured in cubic feet per minute.
Oh, I see. So it operates on static pressure.
Exactly that. Think of it like taking a running garden hose and aggressively crimping it right in the middle.
The water backs up, the pressure builds, and the pump at the source has to strain against that resistance.
Yes, exactly. So when you close vents in the guest room or, push a heavy sofa directly over a return vent in the hallway, you create massive back pressure.
Wow.
You severely restrict the overall volume of air moving over the evaporator coil. You lose the heat transfer, the temperature drops, and suddenly you have an ice block.
So you didn't save money on your energy bill at all. You just artificially triggered a freeze-up.
Yeah, pretty much.
That is wild. But I guess the silver lining here is that the fix for both of these self-inflicted wounds is entirely in the homeowner's hands. You don't need a master technician to solve an airflow problem.
No, not at all. The initial fix is incredibly straightforward.
Okay, walk me through it.
First, go to your thermostat and turn the cooling system off immediately. Stop demanding cold.
Makes sense.
Then pull out that dirty filter and just throw it away. Next, walk through your entire house and open every single register fully. Move any rugs or furniture that might be blocking the return vents.
Basically, let the house breathe.
Let it breathe.
And then comes the hardest part for most people, which is just patience, right? You just have to let it thaw. You need to give it about 4 hours to completely melt before you even think about restarting it.
Yes, and that brings us to a really crucial point about human psychology in these moments.
Okay.
Because now that we know how simple the fixes are, change the filter, open a vent, Wait, we have to talk about what happens when homeowners react purely on instinct.
Ah, the panic reaction.
Right.
Because you look outside, you see the ice, your house is heating up to like 80 degrees, and you just panic. And what is the instinctive move? People run to the thermostat, they see it's hot, and they crank the requested temperature down to 65.
Yep.
They think, the AC is struggling, I need to force it to make more cold air.
Which is the absolute worst thing you could possibly do.
Because by dropping the temperature on the thermostat, you are commanding the system to run continuously. You're demanding cold from a machine that is literally suffocating.
Exactly. And because the coil is already completely insulated by ice, the system is running, but no heat transfer is happening.
So it just gets worse.
So much worse. The ice just gets thicker and thicker. It works its way all the way down the refrigerant lines, through the wall of your house, all the way out to the condenser unit in the yard.
Which leads to something in the notes that sounds incredibly expensive.
Oh, slugging.
Yeah. It said the compressor starts slugging liquid refrigerant.
Wow.
What is actually happening mechanically there?
Okay, to understand slugging, you have to know that the compressor sitting outside in your yard is fundamentally a vapor pump.
A vapor pump.
Yes. It is designed exclusively to compress refrigerant in a gas state.
Oh, like a car engine compresses a mixture of air and fuel vapor before the spark plug ignites it?
That is a perfect parallel. Now, normally, as the warm air in your house blows over the indoor coil, the liquid refrigerant absorbs that heat and boils off into a gas before it travels back outside to the compressor.
Okay, I'm with you.
But if the coil is covered in solid ice, the liquid refrigerant never absorbs any heat. It never boils. It stays a liquid.
Oh, no. So it travels back outside and enters the compressor as a liquid.
Yes. And when a compressor tries to compress a liquid, the physics just fail. You cannot compress a liquid.
Right.
So the internal valves and scroll plates inside the machine literally shatter under the pressure. In a car engine, if you try to compress water, it's called hydrolocking, and it often throws a rod right through the engine block.
Oh, wow.
It's the exact same destructive physics in your AC.
That is terrifying. So that panic reaction cranking the thermostat down to 65 is the exact failure mode that turns a simple DIY fix, like, changing a $10 filter, into a $3,000 mechanical repair.
It illustrates perfectly why understanding the mechanics of your home is so crucial, because without that knowledge, your instinct will just bankrupt you.
Absolutely. So what does this all mean for the listener when they first spot the ice? Let's solidify the absolute golden rule of the frozen AC.
The golden rule is this. If you see ice, whether it's on the line outside or on the coil inside, turn the cooling system off immediately.
Right. Stop the compressor from running.
Exactly. But, and this is a really great pro tip, switch your thermostat fan setting from auto to on.
Wait, why just the fan? Doesn't that still use electricity?
It does, but a negligible amount compared to, replacing a compressor. Setting the fan to on forces the indoor blower motor to run, blowing the warm air from your house constantly over the frozen coil.
Oh, I get it. It acts like a giant hairdryer.
Yes. It melts the ice in a fraction of the time it would take if you just turned the whole system off and walked away.
That makes total sense.
Okay,
so we've covered the filter and the vents, which account for about 90% of the issues.
right.
But what about the remaining 10%? Say I've checked my filter, it's brand new, my vents are all wide open, the dog hasn't slept on the return vent, everything is clear, but I'm still freezing up.
That brings us to cause number 3. And this is the scenario where you absolutely have to call a professional. Cause number 3 is low refrigerant.
I definitely need some clarification here. Because earlier we established that low pressure causes a colder coil. But how does an AC lose pressure? Does it burn off refrigerant over time, like, I don't know, a car burns oil?
No, and that is a critical distinction that every homeowner needs to know. Air conditioning systems are closed, sealed loops.
Okay.
They do not consume refrigerant. If you're low on refrigerant, you are never just a little low from normal use. It means you have a physical hole in the copper lines or the coil.
Oh, wow. So the refrigerant is actively escaping into the atmosphere.
Exactly.
And this is where the environmental regulations come into play, right? Because the notes dive heavily into the 2025 EPA refrigerant rules.
Yes, and this legislation is fundamentally changing the financial math for homeowners.
How so?
Well, historically, if you had a slow leak, some, less reputable technicians might come out, see you're low, and just pump a few pounds of refrigerant into the system to get you through the summer.
Basically just a $100 Band-Aid fix.
Right. But under the 2025 environmental guidelines, the EPA is phasing out certain HFC refrigerants because They are really potent greenhouse gases. We're talking global warming potentials thousands of times higher than CO2.
Wow, okay.
Because of this, doing a quick top-off is now strictly illegal. HVAC technicians are no longer allowed to just add refrigerant without locating and physically repairing the leak.
So if your filter is clean and your vents are open and you're still freezing, you definitely have a leak.
Yes.
And the technician has to find it, which might mean replacing the entire coil. You can't just buy a cheap fix anymore.
No, you can't. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the cost of the raw refrigerant itself is skyrocketing due to artificial scarcity created by these phase downs.
That makes sense.
So navigating home maintenance today requires knowing your own limits. You have to know when to apply a simple DIY fix and when complex mechanics and federal regulations dictate that you need a master tradesman.
Right, and that is when you call someone like Dave Hartzell and his crew. Hartzell's heat and air covers a really wide territory out there. Kingfisher, Canadian, Garfield, Logan, Blaine, Major, and Northwest Oklahoma counties.
They cover a lot of ground.
They really do. And what stands out in their business model is the transparency, especially with these new regulations driving costs up.
Right.
They charge a $99 dispatch fee and a $111 diagnostic fee. But if you hire them to do the repair within 14 days, they actually credit that diagnostic fee right back toward the cost of the repair.
Which is great.
Yeah, plus they do free estimates on new installs just in case you ignored the ice and slugged your compressor.
Yeah, it's a very fair model.
Yeah.
But ultimately, an honest technician wants to save you from paying that dispatch fee if you don't truly need to.
Right, which is why Dave Hartzell relies on a 30-second self-diagnostic. The whole goal is to verify you actually have a mechanical failure before you even pick up the phone.
Exactly.
So instead of just listing steps, walk us through what this actually looks like for the homeowner. Where do I start?
Okay, imagine you're standing in your hallway.
Yeah.
Before you do anything else, go straight to your air handler or your return grate and pull out the filter.
Okay, filter is in hand.
Hold it up to a ceiling light or a window. If you cannot clearly see light passing through the pleats of that filter, the system is choking. Throw it away.
Simple enough. Okay, I've checked the filter. Now what?
Now, physically walk from room to room. Check every single supply register to ensure they are fully open. Look at your return vents. Make sure a rug hasn't slid over one or, a box hasn't been pushed against it in the basement.
So we've verified the airflow inside the house.
Right. Finally, walk out to your patio or yard and look at the condenser unit. Look specifically at the larger insulated copper line, the suction line going into the machine.
And if there is frost or thick ice anywhere on that line, your system is frozen.
Yes.
And if we see that ice, we execute the golden rule. System off, fan on, wait 4 hours.
You got it. And if you do all of that and it freezes again the next day, well, that is when you know you have a leak and it's time to call the professionals.
This is exactly why I love doing these deep dives. I mean, we take a situation that induces just sheer panic and break it down into basic thermodynamics and a simple walkthrough.
It really demystifies it.
It does. A frozen coil looks terrifying, but most of the time the machine isn't broken, it's just suffocating.
It is genuinely the most reversible HVAC emergency there is, provided you catch it and react properly.
Absolutely. So for everyone listening, remember the holy trinity of AC maintenance: filter, registers, time.
That's it.
Check your filter, open your registers, and give it time to thaw. If you can remember those 3 things, you can confidently save yourself a service call.
It really highlights the fragility of the complex systems we rely on every day.
Yeah, it really does.
Consider this. If a simple $10 piece of pleated paper, your air filter, has the power to cause a catastrophic $3,000 mechanical failure just by getting a little dusty.
Right.
What other simple, completely overlooked maintenance items in our daily lives hold the power to quietly derail our most expensive technologies?
Oh, that is a lingering thought. I'm definitely going to go check the coils on the back of my refrigerator today.
Good idea.
And probably that hidden filter at the bottom of the dishwasher while I'm at it. Because you really never want to be that person standing in the 102-degree heat, staring at an inch of solid ice, realizing that you triggered a massive repair bill just by forgetting to do your basic chores.
Nope, nobody wants that.
Check your filters, folks, and stay cool out there.